Welcome to another Big Jimny video, and in this video you find us at High Grosvenor House in Shropshire for the launch of the 5-door Jimny, the Jimny Nomade. This is the UK launch and is hosted for us by Jimny Imports and their superb HQ here. So this is the long-awaited launch of the 5-door Jimny in the UK. They've been out in Japan and in India now. In Japan for about 5 or 6 months and India from last year. But these are the first ones coming into the UK for UK importing. And Jimny Imports have managed to get this one here for us to see today. So let's take a look around this Jimny. As you can see, it is a fairly standard looking Jimny from the front. It's only at the back end that things change. So those of you who see my previous videos, the one in the link at the top, which is when the 3-door version came in from Japan, will know many of the features that we can see here. So along this side, it's got things like the electric fold mirrors with the light inside. Now, we never got those on the UK version at all. It's got things like the Japanese market little mirror under here. It's also got elements such as the keyless entry. A lot of the other markets didn't even get keyless entry, so the South African ones don't have keyless entry. So the ones that Jimny Imports brings in from Japan are the top of the range versions. The only other distinguishing feature on the 5-door is in fact the 5th door, okay, which you can see here. We'll have a look inside in a minute and I'll do some of those crucial measurements around here for you. At the front, the changes are cosmetic, but these changes are the ones that they have in the Indian market. So it's got the chrome enhanced grille from the Indian market. Now, when we've seen this one in the last 9 months to a year in the Indian market, it's something that looks, we didn't really like the look of, but it's growing on me. Sometimes in the UK, and particularly with my old Gen 3, we actually had these chrome inserts in the Jimny, and somehow now that we've seen this one here, particularly today, it's beginning to grow on me, the whole different look that this has got over the standard ones. The other things are, it's got things like fog lights. Now, it hasn't got DRLs in it because they don't do DRLs in Japan, so it's just got fog lights there. Other features along the front that you'll see are these dual sensor cameras at the top. Okay, this is new in 2025 to the Japanese market. They have had it in Australia now for, I think, since the launch in Australia. But these are an enhanced version of the LiDAR system that we have on the standard Jimny in the front at the top there, with stereo camera system instead, which apparently enhances its ability to detect objects at night, and that for collision, and generally improves the performance of the object recognition. And to some extent this is welcome, because if you've got one of the 3 doors, you'll know how it panics every time it sees someone near the road. At some point it thinks everyone's going to die and all the alarms go off on the dashboard saying collision alert. Okay, so something that enhances that is an improvement on what I've not had a chance to try to drive it into anyone standing on the pavement. Perhaps we'll get a volunteer later on to stand still while I race straight at them to see if it works. Okay, but anyway, that's what that's going to do. It's going to enhance it. The other thing that it does on the automatic version, and this one is auto, there are manuals available. On the automatic version, it does give you the adaptive cruise control. Again, we don't have that on any of our standard UK Jimnys, and we don't have it on the imported ones, the 3-door imports that have come up to now. But as a part of the 2025 enhancements, they're getting it as well. And adaptive cruise control is where this car will maintain its distance automatically from the car in front when you're running on cruise control, which is, you know, a fantastic enhancement. Because otherwise, if you're on cruise control, you're forever catching up with the car in front or dropping back. Well, this keeps it in place for you. The other side of the car, there's nothing really to see around there. It's the same as this side. Moving around the back, so clearly this is what the 5-door is all about. This extra row, the extra door on both sides that gives you access to the rear seats. So this is a 4-seater, just the same as the 4-seater version of the 3-door. It's the same seats, the same layout inside, but obviously you can now access it from the door here. And what Suzuki have done is added in 34 centimeters of extra length in the vehicle. So back from here backwards, there's an extra 34 centimeters of space, which has enabled them to put the doors in and give you extra space in the boot. In the back itself, we'll take my junk out in a minute and show you the back. The main thing here, there's not a lot that's changed, except for the fact that we've got that 34 centimeters of space. We'll do some measurements in a minute and show you how much space, extra space that is. Moving inside, the car is very similar to the 3-door JDM import. The seat fabrics are the same, and there are just a few minor changes. For instance, the observant of you will notice on the steering wheel a new control, which is the adaptive cruise control button. This adjusts the separation between you and the car in front. And of course, down in the center console, you've now got an extra 2 switches, which are for the rear windows, so that you can control the rear windows from the center console. There is in fact a control on the door as well, but you may want to isolate this for the children. Inside you can see, as we say, the sort of 4-seat layout, and we'll have a look at the space of that in a minute. Under the bonnet, yes, you'll guess it's exactly the same as the JDM 3-door version. If you remember, of note on that one, we noticed that there is sound insulation under the bonnet. Well, in this model as well, we've also noticed that there is sound insulation along the firewall as well. So this has got much a higher level of sound insulation than we were used to on the UK models. And this extends to the rear wheel arches, where there is a sort of felt material lining the rear wheel arches. I presume that it is mud and waterproof, but it doesn't half look like felt. And that again provides soundproofing to the rear compartment. So, based on my real world criteria, where this seat is set to my height, which I've mentioned just now as being 5'11", so this seat is in the comfortable position for me to sit in the front. We're now sitting in the back, and as you can see, we've got about the same space as we have in the old Jimny. Okay, so what they're saying here is that we haven't actually increased the space in the back here for the passengers. It's still, was it 31 centimeters? Okay, so yes, that's just under 31 centimeters. Okay, so that is just the same as it is in the standard car with the 3 doors. But the difference is obviously that by putting in these doors, we've got the ability to climb in and out. You're not seeing me trying to climb over the, but also we've got electric windows here. So this makes this part of the car a lot more usable for adults as well, because we can get fresh air in and out through these windows, and you can definitely do much more of a journey within this car than you can do within the 3-door as an adult, climbing in and out. So round at the back of the 5-door, we've got that extra space that we've been talking about. You saw on the standard model how that this bag was jammed up here and was jammed against the door and against the back of the seat. This is how much space you've got in the forward. So this is where all of the space has gone. Okay, it's gone into the boot to give you that extra space here for luggage, shopping and things like that. The one element that you will notice, and that other videos have mentioned though, is that what they have lost is the fold flat capability within the boot. So in the standard model, there's a box here which raises the floor, and then the back of the seat fits here and aligns correctly with the box to create a flat floor, and the seat cushion is flat as well so that the whole of this falls flat. And in fact, on the 3-door model, you can also fold the front seat flat to get a completely flat space for sort of sleeping in, I guess, if you really wanted to. Okay, you can't do that on the 5-door, but you get all of this boot space, and you can take the seats down that far. The reason why they won't go any further is because they've redesigned the shape of the seat squab on the rear. It's probably hard to see, but in fact these seats are better shaped than the ones on the standard model. The ones on the standard model are very flat and quite thin, which gives you that fold down capability, but isn't as comfortable. We both remarked earlier on, myself and James, when driving this, that in fact this is quite comfortable to sit in the back. So now I'm going to refer to my notes as we get just perhaps a little bit more technical, so please excuse me while I'm looking down at the notes. So this is the Japanese model, as we said, the JDM, Japanese domestic market model. And these are the ones that are popular to import. As I say, the relationship with the Japanese market is quite good, and there are certain benefits for importing from Japan. But you will find that there are other people offering vehicles through different paths as well. This one is the Japanese one, as I say. It's called the Nomade or the Nomade. Now, it's actually spelt Nomade. Look on the badge here. This is how it's spelt. But on some systems, you'll see it called the Nomad. And for those of us who use the English language, the word nomad makes a lot of sense, as nomads are people who tour around and adventure in wild places. And that would be what we'd imagine that this is. But as I say, it's actually spelt Nomade with an E on the end. They have 2 models available. They have the manual and auto. Both have all the features that you can see in this video in general. As I said before, the only feature that's specific to the auto at the moment is the twin sensor cruise control, the adaptive cruise control. Everything else is the same within the 2 models. In Australia, the model is called the Jimny XL, probably from the Jimny Extra Large, the Jimny XL. Again, the specifications are the same as the Japanese one. So they are getting the dual sensors on the automatic version, but they also don't have headlamp assist in Australia for some reason. That's the only feature that's not available on the Australian one. Perhaps a local market rule says they can't have headlamp assist. But of course, I don't know if you've ever used headlamp assist, but actually having it deleted is quite a good idea because otherwise the headlamps automatically do their own thing, which, to be honest with you, is quite annoying. South Africa imports are popular, particularly in Europe. Okay, I've seen quite a few companies in Europe starting to import this 5-door from South Africa. Now, that's probably because some of the European countries have quite a good relationship with South Africa. South Africa, there are 2 models available, the GL and the GLX. Okay, with the AT, the automatic transmission, only available in the GLX model at the moment. Those of you familiar with the old UK specifications, SZ4, SZ5, the GL in South Africa is effectively an SZ4, and the GLX in South Africa is effectively a SZ5. The GL is quite limited in its specifications, you know, halogen headlights, lower spec radio system, no fog lamps, no folding mirrors, vinyl steering wheel, no cruise control, no side airbags. Also note that in general in South Africa, they do not have alarms, the keyless entry option, or push button start. So if you're going for one and you find out that it's a South African model, check what version it is, the GL or the GLX, and be aware that it may be lower specification than you have seen both in this video and in other reviews and that of the 5-door that are on the internet. Some people have managed to import these from India. India is a more difficult place to import from because of compliance reasons, and up until earlier today I hadn't found anyone who's managed to import them from India. I do understand someone has managed to import them, but they have to go through a lot more compliance to get into this country for the actual ones direct from India, mainly around crash compliance. As it happens, these ones, the Japanese 5-door, has got the crash boxes fitted to the chassis rails. Those of you in the UK with the S4 and SZ4 and SZ5 will remember that the rails on the chassis have got extra crash protection on them, which a lot of the other Jimny variants don't have. Well, this has reintroduced those for the Japanese market as well, okay, but the Indian market doesn't have it. Within the Indian market there are two variants, the Alpha and the Zeta. Again, these represent trim levels, so the Alpha is a high trim level and the Zeta is a low trim level. The high level is roughly equivalent to this model here, so it's got quite a lot of features available on the model in India, whereas the Zeta model is a much lower level of trim. So if you're buying one from India, be aware of what compliance it's got on it and also what trim level you're actually going to get delivered. One of these, which I would call the long wheelbase, and one of those which I call the short wheelbase. Okay, as I said before, there's about 34 centimeters difference in length. Okay, so that applies to both the wheelbase and the overall length of the vehicle. Okay, the standard one is around about 3.6 meters long, and this one is around about 3.9 meters long. Okay, that means with all the extra chassis rails and the inserts to make it longer, this one is heavier. It comes in here at around about 1,180 kilos, okay, as opposed to 1,070 kilos for the lighter one. But that doesn't unfortunately mean that its towing ability has been increased. Okay, the towing specification for these is exactly the same as the smaller ones, so it's around 1,300 kilograms braked and 350 kilograms in the unbraked form. Okay, and the other question we're getting about these is the roof rack. The most contentious statistic on the Jimny is what is the roof rack capability on them, because it's 30 kilograms. And in fact, in truth, most roof racks themselves weigh about 20 to 25 kilograms, meaning that you've got 10 kilograms of weight capability on the roof. Okay, and that's, to be totally frank, useless. Okay, and that's the same for these. Okay, the published roof rack weight for this is 30 kilograms. And you can imagine, as it's a long one, people would like to put on one of those really long Defender kind of roof racks on it, full of petrol cans and all the things people put on the roof. Okay, and you can see that that would exceed Suzuki's 30 kilogram weight limit for the roof. But of course, in reality, that probably comes from Suzuki's history. If you have been with SJs long enough, you know that they were banned in the United States for the little SJs rolling over. There was a big thing about them rolling over in accidents in the 1980s. And I suspect that Suzuki really got their fingers burnt with that whole concept that a lightweight small car may roll over. Okay, and therefore they have been dramatically conservative with their 30 kilogram weight limit on the roof. And you would be telling me now down in the comments below that you are running roof tents, you are running roof racks, and there is no problem. And this is also supported by things like Suzuki Brazil, who, as the Suzuki manufacturer, actually sells you accessories that go on the roof which are far heavier than the 30 kilograms. So they, in their own country, are selling roof tents, big safari style roof racks and things like this in Brazil. So they have themselves sort of broken their own guidelines. So whilst I can't recommend you exceed the Suzuki limit, we all know everyone does, and we all know that no one has yet come to any serious harm through exceeding it. But people have asked me on the internet, what is it? And it is, I'm afraid, still 30 kilograms. Right, the next question everyone's asked me about on the internet is warranty. Okay, now I've got a few friends who work in dealerships, and they are being asked about, when people have bought JDM ones, they're being asked about warranty. Can they have Suzuki warranty? Can they have Suzuki service? Here you have to separate in your mind the difference between a Suzuki dealer and Suzuki UK. Suzuki UK have said they're not supporting JDM cars. Okay, and what they will not do is release the parts catalogue for the Japanese models so that dealers in the UK can order parts. So the actual parts catalogue and all that is stopped. Suzuki UK will not support it. Okay, but as you can see, this car is effectively the same as that car, and that car is effectively the same as my SZ, well, my LCV or our SZ5 at home. They're effectively the same car. You can see the parts are the same parts. Now, a Suzuki dealer isn't going to refuse to sell you, you know, indicator bulbs or front grills or parts like that, okay, because they know they're the same, they can see they're the same. Okay, so you will be able to buy the parts, but they won't be able to offer you as such a warranty. And where it gets to the more specialist parts, then you'll have to return back to source, so Japan. But those of you who watch things like Fast and Furious will know that parts are available overnight from Japan, allegedly. Okay, so you'll be able to get them. Clearly they're not available overnight. Okay, that's part of film fantasy. But yes, we can get them. I can get parts. Jimny Imports can manage to get parts. So if there's any specific parts that are specific to the Japanese model, it may take a little bit more time to get them, but we would be able to get them. Okay, and you can therefore repair or rebuild your car using the proper parts from Japan. Things like the ECU, the engine control unit, that is Japanese specific. The BCU, the body control unit, is Japanese specific, and the transmission control unit, the TCU, is Japan specific. They're all market specific because they do different things in different markets. You know, this one has got the reversing, the built-in reversing alert. That's built into the software in the system, and you have to have the right system to get that working, or in some cases you don't want it working. Okay, so those are the sorts of parts. So clearly on this one, things like the door and the panelling on this corner, they're 5-door specific. But you can be assured that with them being built in India and with them being sold in places like Japan, that parts will be available, but they're just not through the Suzuki system. So take care with your car when you get it. And that, you know, there are people who are out and out off-roading them, but bear in mind that if you need to repair it, you may need to engage through to Japan to get the parts you know, for repair, and that there's no actual warranty. But no warranty is a benefit. How many of you are sitting at home now thinking, I haven't modified my standard SZ5 at all because it would invalidate the warranty? You know, I haven't put bigger wheels on it. I haven't put diff locks on it. I haven't put a suspension lift on it because it would invalidate my warranty with Suzuki GB. Well, if you haven't got a warranty, then you can go ahead and do it because you're not going to invalidate anything. So you can say, actually, what that's done is release me to be able to do the modifications I want. And certainly for these, those of you who've watched what goes on in Japan, they've got some pretty fancy modifications. You know, you look at an event in Japan, a meet, and every single car is different in that meet. They've all modified them, each in their own individual ways. So you're free from warranty. So the next area that we get asked a lot of questions about is insurance. People seem to find it very hard to get hold of insurance for JDM vehicles, but that is totally not my experience with insurance. And as a test for this one, I knew I was coming here on today to film this one. So on Tuesday, I decided to try and get insurance on it, as if I was buying it. In other words, it's an unknown car to me. It's got no registration, it's unregistered, it's not allowed on the roads in the UK. Okay, but can I get insurance? So what I did was I typed in on Google, simple words, JDM insurance. Okay, I went down, there's a list of companies doing JDM insurance. I took the top one, the very first line. I phoned them up. They answered the phone. They said, oh yes, we do Jimny insurance. Is it a Jimny Sierra or a Jimny Nomade? The moment they said the word Nomade, I knew that they knew what they were talking about because not many people know the name of this one. And within 5 minutes on the very first call I made, I had insurance on this car. Okay, £530 for the year. And all I had to do was then, once the car arrived in the UK, I had to give them the actual registration number and the VIN number. Okay, so that would be after it's gone through its IVA process to get those, I would then have the insurance. But at least I knew a quote, at least I knew what it was going to be when it arrived. Okay, the company is down below. It is japcover.co.uk. There are lots of other companies doing it, but as I say, I got through to these guys. They knew exactly what they were talking about, and in 5 minutes I was insured. If you do call them, ask for Bradley. He's the one who knows about Jimneys, and you can say that Big Jimny referred to them on his video, but I get no kickback, I get no money, no benefits, no discounts or anything like that from them. It was purely me ringing up as a complete stranger to them, asking for insurance. 5 minutes. Don't go to the online compare the market kind of people and all the big companies. They have no idea about Japanese imports. When they say on the box, is it an import, that's so that they can refuse you insurance rather than actually provide you with insurance. Okay, so try the specialists. It's really easy. Make sure you phone them. Don't try and do it online. Phone them, have a chat, and you will be able to get them insured. Let's talk a little bit about importing. In my other video linked at the top, there's some more details on importing them, particularly with Jimny imports. Why should you go through a broker? Why can't you do it yourself? First of all, yes, you can do it yourself. But remember that when you do it yourself, you've got to identify the car in Japan. You've got to enter into the auction. You've got to have the ability to bid in the auction, either through a local bidding partner or some other process like that. Then you've got to win the auction and you pay immediately, so you've got all the problems with any international money transfers. Then you have to get it back to the UK, so you have to arrange the shipping. Okay, you have to pay for the shipping. All this time the car, because it's yours, is your liability and your risk, including all the risk in the shipping to get them back to the UK. You've then, when you got them back here, got to go through the process of bringing them effectively into the country in terms of documentation. And on one of these now, because this car is built in India and marketed in Japan, it falls into a different set of rules compared to the model, the 3-door model, which is solely built in Japan. Okay, this one is considered to be a secondary import because you're importing it into Japan and then importing it into the UK, whereas that's only a straight import from Japan to the UK. There's a whole raft more hassle to go through with something like this one to get it in the UK. That's why I would recommend that you do seek out a competent company to do the import for you. They take all the risk. It's their financial risk up until the time you buy it in this country. And that's the sort of service that Stephen offers at Jimny Imports. He finds them, he sources them, he brings them here, he takes all the hassle, all the risk himself. Okay, all you're doing at the end of it is buying the car. So that's why I would like to recommend that you use one of the few brokers. There are a number of brokers around. You know, Jimny Imports is one of them, but they do it for you, because the moment you start trying to import it yourself, particularly with this one, which is would be a secondary import, there's a lot more hassle to the whole process. So I'd like to introduce Stephen from Jimny Imports, who, thank you very much to yourself and Kim.
That's all right.
For hosting us here today. It's been a fantastic day and we really thoroughly enjoyed seeing this car. It really has been an eye-opener for me, because you know, I had my doubts about it, but having seen it and played it, it's a lovely car, and I certainly feel that at least one member of my family is sitting there going, money. So I've got a couple of questions, if I may ask you. I guess the burning question from all of our subscribers really here is, how do I go and get hold of one? You know, what was the process that we need to engage with in order to manage to get hold of one of these?
Yeah, so I suppose specifically with the 5-door, is probably patience is the first thing they need, is because it's not a quick process. Even though they are now available and they are being sold sort of online, there's a bit of a as you've mentioned before, paperwork issue. These are a lot slower to come in than the 3 doors, and also there's the competition within Japan. As most people know, there's a waiting list in Japan, so everything just makes it a little bit more difficult. So I suppose the process is finding yourself either one that's available on stock in line, or coming to ourselves and inquiring and seeing the timeline. But essentially there won't be many that are just stocked to pile up in a forecourt anytime soon, anytime probably in the next 12 months. There's going to be a wait wherever you go to.
Yeah.
Certainly this one will be amongst the first, I imagine, dozen into this country. This one still won't be available until the end of the year, just because of the paperwork issues. And then that timeline will keep falling back sort of into next year. So it's just finding someone that you trust and with the purchase, and that you're happy with the price, because from the point a dealership buys them or a broker buys them to the point they're selling, it's a huge distance between, and it's a bit of a gamble sometimes for people like us to be buying them up, not knowing what's going to happen with the market.
So given that long lead time, can I specify options and choices within that ordering process, or do I get what I'm given?
Yeah, I suppose it depends who you go through. I don't think many dealerships do offer, but us here at Jimny Imports, we've done really well with the 3 doors. Because of that timeline process, it gives customers that time to look at what modifications are available. And although a lot of people like to mess with them themselves, there's a lot of modifications that might be a bit sort of out of scope, whether that's doing a 2-inch lift kit onto your Jimny, or we've done sound deadening. So all these modifications, pretty much everything, if we don't do it, we'll have someone that can do it for you, and we'll get that organised. So through the whole process, you can have it modded, ready for collection day, and pretty much now, if you can think of it, we can get it done.
Do you sell any other accessories for the Jimnys at all?
Yeah, so although we use a lot of the reputable sort of accessory sellers already existing around there that are great, we have found sometimes there is like a bit of a gap in the market for certain accessories. So a couple that we bring is the sort of rack and ladder option on one of our packages. We found the rack and ladders that were available were either a little bit overpriced, or they're either too overpriced or too cheap. There was nothing in the middle. So we're bringing in slimline racks and ladders that go well with our packages. And also we do a 270-degree awning, wraparound awning, that are really popular for a lot of the overlanders and campers now. And we've brought that in again, just in that gap in the sort of market where it was either a £2,000 awning or a £200 awning, and it just sits there in the middle. So they're on our website at the moment. But other than that, we use all the sort of accessory places, stuff like Predator, 4x4, Jimny style, and they've been great helping us stock and modify their cars.
Yeah. So what would you describe as your unique selling point within Jimny Imports?
I'd probably say it's probably what we've done from the start, and I'd say it's probably still fairly unique across the board, and that's we're a family business. My wife Kimberly helps with all the behind the scenes stuff on social media, and we really treat that customer as they're the only customer we've got at the moment, and that's from the point of leaving us a reservation fee to finding their car, to confirming that's the car they want, the spec. There's no risk to them. Anything they pay us is fully refundable. The whole process is tracked, so they'll get photos when it arrives at the docks, when it's had all its export paperwork done. I'll even give them tracking information so they can watch it sail across the ocean to the UK. And even at the point at Southampton or Bristol when it arrives, they can still, if something's happened or they've changed their mind or find another one, they can cancel. And then once it's here, we go through all the modifications and make sure it's exactly how they want, ready for collection day. And we've now got quite a good customer testimonial page of all the previous customers that are more than happy with what they've had from us.
Great. Well, thank you very much. As I say, thanks once again to you hosting us here.
No, that's quite all right.
We've had a really great day, and as you say, it's been a great family day. Thanks to Kimberly, who's behind the camera here, and that for also organising the venue and that for the UK launch. It's been great to actually be invited to a UK launch. Suzuki UK notice this, please. And that we had a great time, so thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for coming.
Great. Thank
Cheers.
you very much. So, while I'm sitting in here, what I would like to do is to sum up my experience today. I came here doubting that the 5-door was a true embodiment of a Jimny, I think is the fairness to say. Jimnys are quirky, Jimnys are unusual, they got their own little character, and this has persevered with them through the years, the SJ, the Gen 3, and then the standard Gen 4. And this, with its 4 doors, was a bit of a departure. And in the photographs that we saw online, I never really liked it. Okay, I will be honest with you, and I've been honest with Stephen, this is not a car that I particularly thought I'd like. Today, having been here and seen it in the flesh, it is a really nice little car. Okay, the doors at the back don't detract from its small car experience. It's still a small car. It's not really that much bigger, but the difference the doors would make to someone with a family, having the fresh air in the back rather than cooped up in with the side panels in there, would make a real difference to someone who wants something that is a bit more family friendly. The boot space is much bigger in these. It's still not enormous, but it is much bigger in these. And I've taken it out for a drive because Jimny Imports is a business and they've got trade plates. We've been able to actually drive this one around on the roads in the UK. We've been driving it around. I've got some little bits of video of me driving it that have been intersected into this video, so you can see that it's been out. It's a nice drive. We think, we can't really do a full analysis. This hasn't been a full road test, but we think that the long wheelbase has made it a lot firmer on the road. I don't mean firmer as in sports car firmer, I mean a lot more positive on the road. It drives a lot more smoother than the Gen 4. We've been over bits of the road that would really have made my Gen 4 rattle going over it, and this one doesn't. It's much more implanted on the road, so it is a satisfying drive from that point of view. This is also my first drive in an automatic Jimny. Okay, through all the generations, I've never had an automatic. I've never driven an automatic. That's going to take a little bit of getting used to for me because the reaction time of the engine under acceleration is different. It's not necessarily slower, it's different because, of course, the automatic has to build up a level of energy, so there's a different feel to it, there's a different noise as it accelerates. But I have no reason to believe that it's any particularly slower than the manual. Once I get driving this a lot more, I'll learn how you'd learn how to hustle it along if you wanted to hustle. But the words hustle and Jimny are not in the same sentence. That's part of the charm of the car in its standard form, is that it is just a pleasant little drive. So it's been a lovely day, a very successful drive in this, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed the video, then please press like and subscribe below. And until the next time, drive safely and we'll catch you further down the road. You still with us? Those of you who persevered right to the very end of my video get another treat. The special question you've been waiting for us to actually ask and actually answer. So Stephen, how much would one of these cost?
Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult question to answer. Yeah, they're not quite as easy to price as the 3 doors. We've had a pretty much a fixed price for a new 3-door now for probably 18 months, which hasn't changed. We're unable to fix price this model at the moment just because of how difficult and how long the process is. As far as 2025 concerned, you would be lucky to get anything less than probably 36,000 for one of these at the moment. And that is not us importers taking a massive margin. That is the huge issues, duty, VAT issues, and of course us outbidding the entire of the Japanese market that haven't been able to get one because of the 3.5-year waiting list. I hope throughout next year the prices will start to drop and eventually maybe 2027, 2028 there'll be routine imports just like the 3-door where we can offer a fixed cost which is a bit more reasonable. But as it stands, looking around, they're selling at the moment for 37, 38 and I've seen some sell for 40,000.
Great, well thank you very much. I hope that's been of use to you. I bet you're glad you stayed to the end for that bit of information. Thank you very much.